I'm about to talk to y'all and warn y'all a little bit about the future. And I'm going to educate you on how to make money. I'm going to teach you what money is. So keep watching my videos. I'm going to post a couple of them. Keep watching. If you don't understand what's going on, you're going to understand later. Everybody has a starting point. So don't count yourself out. I'll talk to people of every occupation pretty much. I'll talk to lawyers, attorneys, pharmacists, doctors, whatever you think is a illustrious occupation and you think that they make a lot of money, I'll talk to them, and I can tell you that the average person in America knows nothing about money. The average person in America doesn't know anything about money. Nothing. And it's all on purpose. Like they pretty much domesticated everybody into this belief system that they think life is operating how it's not operating. So before I start talking about everything that I'm going to talk about, like I said, I'm going to talk about blockchain, money, all of this stuff that you should be knowing. I'm going to also touch on time traveling. I'm going to touch on extraterrestrials and a few other things. As well as I'm going to refer a couple of people. I'm going to give a few shout outs to a couple of people that's really been doing work. And right now we in energized times right now, dealing with AI and making this new financial system shift. An average person don't know where we're going to be at. And I'm here to inform y'all. And before I do that, again, let me give a disclaimer. I'm not suicidal. I've never been suicidal, because they don't want you to know a lot of this information I'm going to start talking about. Never been suicidal, never had a suicidal thought in my life. I like me a lot, and I be chilling. I'm cool, whatever. So, let's start with talking about the beginning, well, a piece of the beginning in the US regarding fiat and money and what money really is. Because everybody has fake money right now. Well, at least a lot of people that's listening. So, let's start in the year 1786. It's an important year because it's the year that Benjamin Franklin had the Fugio. He designed it and it was minted in 1787, right? The Fugio consisted of, it was 0.36 ounces of gold. Ounces of copper. That's important because it's a base metal. And they started minting it after the Revolutionary War. They needed money. So you need something to be able to trade with, right? 3D, physical reality, trading physically. We need something to trade with, right? So, on the Fugio, actually I got an example. I'm going to probably post another picture. This is the Fugio. This is the first US currency. On the front of the Fugio, you got a sundial. You got a sun above that sundial. On the side it says Fugio, obviously the year. They only stayed in circulation for about a year. And under that sundial you got mind your business. On the back of the Fugio, you got 13 links or 13 circles interconnected. And around that it has the United States and we are one, right? The 13 rings on the back of the Fugio represent the original 13 colonies. On the front of the Fugio, let me backtrack. I'm getting ahead of myself. Fugio is Latin. It means time is fleeing or time is flying. So, while time is flying, you need to mind your business. Like on the Fugio. Mind your business. But not in the same state that everybody say mind your business in today's time, it really meant mind your business. And I'm going to take a step aside myself and say that everybody that's listening to this video right now is already a business, whether you know it or not. You're a straw man. You need to make your own straw man if you're really trying to make money. But going back into the mind your business thing. Mind your business while time is flying or time is fleeing. While you're here, be mindful. Be mindful of the people that you're around, because they can be bad business, because everybody is a business. So you can be hanging around bad business or you can be hanging around good business. Mind your business. Time is flying. First currency in the United States. About a year of circulation. Made of copper, right? Moving forward. I'm going to start with 1912. It's a very interesting year because this is the year that the Titanic sank. And what's important about 1912 and the Titanic sinking is the people that was on board of the Titanic. You had a lot of people that had a lot of money. You had a lot of bankers. You had people with major influence on the Titanic. In the U.S., a lot of people that had a lot of strong influence. Two of the people that were supposed to be on the Titanic that wasn't on the Titanic when it sank, one was Milton Hershey, the other one was J.P. Morgan. We're about to talk about J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan banker, 1912, Titanic sank. I think it sank in like August or April 15th, 1912. And after it sank, almost a year later, the Federal Reserve was made. 1913, Federal Reserve made. Why is this important? What other companies? First off, the Federal Reserve shouldn't even exist. What's important about it is, what I'm relating to the Titanic is, this one banker, J.P. Morgan, pretty much didn't have any more competition. When we start talking about centralization, the banking industry, we start talking about communism, and we start talking, Marxism on a Marxism umbrella, communism. After the Federal Reserve was made in 1913, the IRS was made, 16th Amendment. IRS is formed, right? Shouldn't exist. Now, with me speaking about the Titanic, and you probably wondering why I'm saying mind your business, and I even brought up the first currency that was circulating in the U.S. in 1787, we're about to start talking about finances, and this is some of the, I guess you would say, higher level of finance information. We're about to talk about water law, maritime law, or admiralty law. So, a lot of people that's been working around the banking system, they came up with this scheme to pretty much fool everybody. They use terms and nobody knows what they mean. So when you're dealing with money in our financial system, you're talking about water law, admiralty law, maritime law. They all the same. So, why do you think they call it a currency? A currency. Like a wave, a currency, water, wave, right? Why you think they say like, I got this much money in liquid? Liquid, water law. Why do you think the money goes to the bank? Think about it. The bank, water law. All of the money goes to the bank, right? It don't matter what transactions are made, the money stays at the bank. And when you go into a courtroom, what do the judge sit on? They sit on a bench. What do bench mean in Latin? It means bank. They sit on the bank. They use this terminology to confuse everybody. It's called legalese. Pretty much, some things mean more than what they appear to mean. So if I say, do you understand what I'm saying when I said all of this, I could be speaking in a whole different ballpark of what you think that I'm saying. So for example, do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand me? Do you stand under me? By the way, before I go further, y'all should read the book Meet Your Straw Man, because like I said in the beginning, you're a straw man. You don't even own your name and you don't know it. Water law, right? So when the person that's sailing the boat, the captain or whatever, when they come in and dock and whatnot, they get out, they make an announcement that they have a product. They announce the product that they have, right? When you inside your mom's womb, you inside of water. When you birthed, you have a birth certificate. Just like the boats and the ships, they birth. So when your mom water break, you're birth. Water law. We talking about money. Now when you enter a courtroom, you got this gate that you walk through before you go talk to the judge, right? It's pretty much symbolism. When you open that gate, you open the floodgates. We talking about water law once again. When you open the gate, when you in the courtroom, you open the floodgates, and now you in hot water. XYZ. You are not able to cross that gate because it has a bar on top of it. And only the people who are authorized to speak for you once you open that gate. This water terminology fest is your attorney. Your attorney is your spokesperson, because once you leave land, you start talking about the law of water, the law of the sea. So once you're in the courtroom, what we talking about? You open the gate. You're not supposed to, because technically, once you enter the courtroom, even if you open the gate, you don't know it. Once your hand on it and stuff, you're pretty much, you can't speak for yourself. You're not a real person. You're a dead person. So what happened is, you have QSIP numbers. When you get a birth certificate, Social Security, whatever, you have this QSIP number, right? Same thing happens when you create a business. Like I said, when the person on the ship comes up and they say like what products they have and stuff, they make an announcement. That's the same thing your mom did when she signed your birth certificate. She made an announcement. It pretty much gave away your rights. So basically, everybody in the US, if you have a birth certificate, first off, before I even go to that extent, your last name is an example that your last name shouldn't exist. It's fictitious. So when you go to the mail and you receive a piece of mail, right? You may wonder, why is my name in all caps on this mail? Like when I get it in, why is it all capital letters? It's not talking about you. It's talking about your straw man. Your birth certificate pretty much was an announcement that we have this new product we have this new product, and how much money your mom announced it to the bankers pretty much. She gave birth to you through water and announced it to the bankers. And now they like, oh, well, how can we make money off of this? So pretty much end up getting, especially in the courtroom, when you're making a claim and stuff, your claim is then turned into a bond or insured. So at that point, you have to take accountability your straw man, you have to take full on accountability for your body. And once your body locked up, that don't mean that your straw man locked up. So in order to conduct business in America, you have to make your own straw man. What does this mean? It means, why you think the company Apple exists? Everybody talking about, a lot of people that I know and stuff, and you see the average person, they make LLCs, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, when you making LLCs, you're not getting money. You can't get money from the bank having an LLC like that. I don't know what everybody considers a lot of money, but you don't get a lot of money from having an LLC. You get a corporation. You talk about your sevens, you make a superval, you protect yourself, you protect your money. And the phrase of the game is own nothing and control everything. This is the same reason why you have to make a straw man. Because the people that own Apple, they're not Apple. Apple is its own entity. So if Apple goes bankrupt or something weird happened with Apple, the person who owned the straw man, Apple, this name, and controls this name, Apple, they didn't go bankrupt. Apple went bankrupt. You get what I'm saying? You got to be able to operate on a higher level. Think higher, think bigger. And when I start talking about money a little bit further on, I don't want you to be scared about numbers, because I've talked to doctors, whoever you want to say is high up on the hierarchy of occupation list, whatever you think is illustrious. I'll probably talk to them, and I can tell you once again, they don't know about money. Whatever a doctor's salary is, whatever highest occupation paid salary is that everybody talk about, they not making money like that. So you make a straw man, and this is where it kind of gets a little bit more complex. It's simple, you just don't know it yet. Stick with it. You gonna learn. Like I said in the beginning, if you listen to what I'm saying, share it with your mom, your dad, your family members, your friends, whoever, you're gonna be able to make money, because I'm gonna teach you what's going on. And I'm starting with the history. So 1944, Bretton Woods have this conference. It's in Bretton Woods, a conference, right? 44 of the nations get together and they form the IMF. Also, this bank. So what happens when you have a war? This is around World War II. What happens when you have a war? It's a lot of places that end up getting desolated, or whatever you want, destroyed. Who pays for it getting rebuilt? So this is what they're talking about at the conference, and they're talking about fair exchange, XYZ. But the IMF was formed, and also the US dollar was agreed upon amongst these 44 nations, that it would be the world reserve currency. Why? Because the US dollar was pegged to gold. It was a promise. It was as good as gold. Moving forward into 1970, we're not even talking about 401ks yet. And the stuff that average people talk about, the highlighted words and stuff, a lot of this stuff was scam. Moving on to 1971. President Nixon stopped the gold standard. He stopped gold from backing the US dollar. Now at first, if you were a bank, if you had US dollars, you had to have that same amount in gold. And I think around 1944, gold was worth like 35 US dollars for an ounce of gold. So if you got $35 in the bank before 1971, you had to have that equivalent of gold in the bank. After 1971, when President Nixon stopped the gold standard, everybody that was holding U.S. dollars, you became losers. You have been holding debt. Once again, when we go back in history, when we start talking about currency, anytime somebody says fiat, and you keep hearing this word fiat and stuff, it's fake money. It's government created. Hundreds of years ago, whether it be, and a lot of times the reason why a lot of these countries collapse on themselves is because of war, and they try to print off all of this money, make all of this fake money that don't exist. So, what is real money? You got fake money, the euros, you got pesos, won, yen, the US dollars. That's fake money. It's not real. Real money is considered gold and silver. People don't know that. It's called God's money. Why? Because the government can't print off gold. The government can't print off silver. They can't make more than what God has made on this earth. Except when you start talking about some of the stuff that's happening in space. Some more things that exist than what they're telling everybody. And like I said, we're gonna touch on time traveling. We're gonna talk about some of the experiences that I had. Not fully relating to time traveling, but talking about I'm gonna just say this. X-Men exists for a reason. Star Wars exists for a reason. A lot of these shows and stuff, these high up people believe in what you call cosmic debt. They have to tell you some of this stuff exists. They have to tell you all of this stuff. But before they do anything, they have to tell you that it's a thing first. So if I'm poisoning you, I have to tell you that the product that I'm poisoning you with is poisonous. That way, you're the reason why you got poisoned. Now, regardless if you believe the TV shows or not, they done already told you. And I can back up everything that I'm saying. Time traveling exists, and they've been doing it for a while. But getting back onto the money, because we'll talk about that later. That's another topic. Gresham's law, important understanding. You need to understand what Gresham's law is. Gresham's law states whenever bad money enters the system, good money goes into hiding, right? It's the same reason in your nickels you don't have God's money anymore. It's the same reason when you look at your pennies and you exchange whatever with pennies and stuff, what a copper at. It used to have copper. Nickels and stuff used to have silver. Our government has been taking it out. And now, this is why I'm finna introduce to you what real money is. It's God's money. That's what they call God's money. This is a Canadian maple leaf. On the front of it, you got Queen Elizabeth Warren face. On the back of it, you got a Canadian maple leaf. This is 1 ounce of silver. Why am I showing you this? 1 ounce of silver now. When I looked earlier this morning, actually, I can give you real-time spot price of what silver is and what gold is worth. I'm about to check my trading view right quick. So, as of Wednesday, July 16th, 6:06, the time, 6:06 p.m. Silver is worth $37.90 an ounce. Gold is worth $3,348.85 an ounce. Now imagine if you had silver and your nickel that's worth 5 cents. If you had silver, real money, God's money, in your nickel that's worth 5 cents, it really wouldn't be 5 cents. It would actually be more, regardless of what's minted on it. So, and you may know about the half dollar and stuff and whatnot. It says dollar on the coin, but if I gave you a half dollar if I gave you a half dollar right now, that would be, we talking about an ounce of silver and stuff, that would be like $37. Even though it might say $1 on the coin, it's not worth $1. It's real silver. Whatever on the coin don't matter. It's what it is. It's the silver that people are interested in. And that's what the bank's been buying. That's what the bank's been, they've been buying silver and gold, and now the average person, it's so many people that's never exchanged or even owned silver or gold to even know what it's worth and know what it is and knowing that it's real money. So the banks don't even want your US dollars. Why you think, besides scamming purposes, why do you think when you put all of your money into the bank, they decide to give you a small interest rate? Think about this. For an example, let's say I got $50,000 right now. I put it into the bank and they offer me the small percentage rate, but they get all the benefit to be able to trade with my personal money. They trade with it, they do what they want with it. But if I want to go get a $50,000 loan, what type of interest rates they gonna try to charge me? But they got all my money all the time for the free. Just like they got everybody else money for the free. And they doing what they want with it. Why can't you just go into the bank and take out $50,000 and stuff? Like, if everybody went to the bank right now to go get their money and take their money out of the bank, it would collapse on itself. I be getting a little energized when I be talking about this, because I get a little drove. Not only I get drove at traders. And like I said, you got God's side, you got light, and then you got people who operate on the side of things that's opposite of love and mindfulness and peace. They really hate people. And you got some people that's not really people. You got other beings out there. We have a galactic federation, and once again, we're going to talk about that later. But, so, the main thing is you need to know what Gresham's law is. Whenever bad money enters the system, good money goes into hiding. That's the reason why the average person, once again, doesn't know how much an ounce of silver is worth. It's not in your coins anymore when you exchange, when you have dollar bills, quarters, and all of this. Real money, precious metals are not in our currency. They want you to not know what it is. And going backwards again, you need to make a straw man if you're talking about doing business. You already are a business, whether you want to believe it or not. Everybody that's listening is worth millions of dollars. You don't even own your name. Everybody is worth millions of dollars and you don't even know it. I'm trying to choose my words wisely. In short, I'm just going to say you have a different entity on the planet that is benefiting off of free energy. You got a specific entity essence out there that is benefiting off of free energy. The 40 hours that the average person go to work and work every 2 weeks, or not, it's every week, 80 in 2 weeks average, I guess. The 80 hours that you work every 2 weeks and you get your paycheck, you're giving your hard-earned time, your time, and in result you're getting something in return US dollars that's fake and it don't even exist. And you spending all your time people killing people, people robbing people over something that don't even exist. You not even getting real money. You not even getting God's money after you go work a 80-hour, 2-week work week. You don't even get real money. You get the fake stuff. The bank's already been buying real money. They have all the real money. And the problem with when we talk about centralization and the banks even being a centralized banking system, we start talking about steps into going into communism as well, because we start talking about Marxism. That's one of the steps that you need to fulfill this ideology. And it's a lot of people that's operating off ideologies, and you can listen to politicians, you can listen to anybody speak, and you can pretty much tell, you're a Marxist, you're a socialist, you're a communist. And so when I hear people talk on TV, a lot of people that's people idols and XYZ, I already know that I'm gonna just choose my words wisely. I'm gonna skip that topic right now. So in today's time, in this small video, you've already learned, you know about the first currency that the US had, a little bit about it. You learned about 1912, the Titanic sinking. Why is it important? Because it was bankers on the Titanic, and big bankers. J.P. Morgan living after the Titanic sank, a big banker, and starting to control everything. And then we're going to start talking about Mt. Gox and how they really start funding a lot of stuff with Bitcoin. We're going to talk about Choke Point 2.0 and how they start debanking a lot of people because they understand where our financial system is going. You think by coincidence that everybody been talking about the US having a Bitcoin reserve? This all was already in play. This is a plan that's been made decades ago. Once again, on the next episode, I'm gonna talk way more in depth about Bitcoin. I'm gonna tell you about what's the real cryptocurrencies that you should be buying. I'm not a financial advisor. It's not financial advice. All of this is for entertainment purposes only. Everything that I say is for entertainment and for educational purposes. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just educating you what's going on. But yeah, we're gonna talk way more in depth about what Bitcoin is. We're gonna talk about blockchains. We're gonna talk about smart contracts. And I guess so you know, we building rapport right now, right? Some of y'all don't know who I am. Maybe not the next episode, but the episode after the next episode, I'm gonna show you how to buy cryptocurrency. I'm gonna show you how to avoid scams. I'm gonna tell you how to hold your cryptocurrency safely. It's gonna be a digital asset fair. I'm gonna tell you a whole bunch that nobody is talking about and the average person don't know. So please share, like, show your friends and family. All of this is important because in the future, people don't understand what's happening with AI. People don't understand what's happening with our financial system and the shift that we're going through. Everybody has to be in consensus and understand what's going on. Everybody needs to be on the same page, or you're going to have people that's going to get left behind. You're going to have people that's placed on UBI, Universal Basic Income. And from first sound, people think universal basic income is good because the government is paying me to sit down and not do nothing. I get paid to sit down and not do nothing, right? That sounds good. But do you get some of your rights taken away should be the question. As well as, are you getting a cap on how much you can make? And I make real money. I'm not for UBI. So the next episode, again, I'm gonna talk about Bitcoin, XYZ. And after that, I'm more than likely gonna talk about time traveling and why the number 88 is so important. And in acknowledgement of the number 88, shout out Maverick Approach, shout out Mav, shout out BH, shout out to all the real people that's been giving real information away and it's not compromised. Once again, and I have to make this statement for my own self. I'm not a compromised person. I'm not bought off. I'm not sponsored by nobody. So everything that I'm telling you, you can go do your own research for and find out yourself. I'm not finna lie to you. The reason why I'm even on this video talking to you right now, because it's too many people lying. And when you mix that with AI, you don't even know if people lying or if it's bots lying or if both lying. So I came to stop a lot of this confusion, help people make money and understand what's happening in the future and understand a lot of black things that the government have been doing and why we in this predicament. But you need to save yourself. So study, learn, stick with it. You're not stupid. This is just new to you. You don't understand what cryptocurrency or blockchain technology, whatever. You don't understand that yet, that's cool. You're going to learn. Please stick with it. You're going to learn. I'm going to teach you. If you don't understand what's going on, if I use a word, because I can do that easily, I try not to. I can use words or terminology and stuff and confuse people because they don't know what it is. And usually I see people like, they acting like they understand what I'm saying, but I know they don't understand what I'm saying. You probably got left off by something that I may not even know. I might have said a word or something and threw you off. But keep going at it. I don't care where you in life right now. I don't care if you got a lot of money right now in your career. I don't care if you trying to figure stuff out and you don't got a lot of money. You need to mind your business. You need to be mindful of your business while time is passing or fleeing, whatever you want to say. Legalese. So, well, they ain't had nothing to do with that, but legalese. Remember that word and how people use words to confuse you that mean other things that you don't think that they mean. Until the next time, until the next episode, we're going to get more in depth. I want y'all to ask questions, like, subscribe. I'm going to try to make other pages or whatever. When I post this video, I'm going to have other ways that you'll be able to view this, because, and I'm also trying to be, again, cognizant of the words and if I drop any names, because social media has been filtering a lot of people, and once you know some of the stuff that I know, you get filtered and people don't get to hear what's really happening. We're gonna talk about Lockheed and Skunk Work and them traveling to having the technology to travel in the stars and stuff too. But all of this connect to money as well. Money has its place in a lot of this conversation. But until next time, to the next video.